The Scott Pilgrim franchise is a very unique case in popular culture, where every incarnation that it takes seems to hit the nail on the head. The original graphic novels are unique and creative, Edgar Wright's live-action movie is energetic and perfectly cast, and the Ubisoft video game is fun and fast-paced. Though each project didn't quite fly off the shelves at first, those who checked them out fell in love. This turned Scott Pilgrim into the perfect cult classic we know it as today. After the release of the final book, video game and film, it seemed like the franchise was essentially over, with no new installments and creator Brian Lee O'Malley seemingly moving on to other great works such as Seconds and Snot Girl. However, over 13 years later, the characters returned in the animated Netflix series Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. This series begins as a fanboy's dream come true, with the entire main cast from the movie returning to voice their respective characters, the series being animated to resemble the art style seen in the graphic novel, and the band who did the video game soundtrack being brought back to make the music here also. Though there are a few changes along the way, the series begins as a fairly accurate retelling until the first episode ends with a giant left turn, with Scott seemingly killed during the first fight with Matthew Patel after just one punch.
I won?
From this moment onwards, the story is entirely original, though an appropriate amount of references are included throughout to classic Scott Pilgrim lore and Edgar Wright's filmography.
What do you think our job is? Oh man, do you think we could have a selfie?
Defying the audience's expectations like this by beginning with what seems like an incredibly familiar story, only to blast off into something never seen before, is a bold and brave risk that studios and creatives often seem afraid to take, but in this case pays off tremendously for fans who want new content. Putting familiar characters into this new story and genre, as well as revealing info about characters the audience thought they knew, makes the experience feel very fresh, as do the new songs by Sex Bomb and Envy Adams. One of the many strong points in the series is its characters. Though the Ramonas seen in previous versions of the story are great too, she is handled brilliantly in this series. Not only does she get many beautiful new hair colours, but she is also given some proper agency too, with her essentially being the protagonist for most of the episodes, searching for Scott after discovering that he wasn't actually killed, but kidnapped during the fight. Her sexual/romantic history seems to be handled more respectfully too, with her achieving her own narrative arc and her relationship with Roxy not having to be neatly defined for heteronormative standards.
I was just a little bi-curious.
Similarly, Knives is given motivations other than simply just wanting Scott back. She joins Sex Bomb and pursues a career in musical theatre. Kim's sexual ambiguity is touched on too, bringing back a detail from the graphic novel that was unfortunately missing from the live-action movie. Joseph even makes a background cameo in episode 8. All in all, the show successfully remains true to the spirit of the source material whilst modernising, maturing and rethinking the original premise. Episode 8 features a mid-credits scene seemingly teasing a second season, so this may be announced at some point in the future if the show is successful enough. Or perhaps in another 13 years or so, Scott Pilgrim will pick up an extra life and take on another form of media. For now though, we have a perfect graphic novel, a perfect beat-em-up, a perfect live-action movie, and a perfect animated TV series.
Big